For a long time, I've been fascinated with what happens in our lives when we open up and what we miss out on when we close down, when we open up to relationships and ideas and different ideas. And it's not easy staying open in today's world because I think we're living in a time of an epidemic of closed-mindedness. Just look at the political divides we've created in this country. We've got red states and blue states. 24 hours a day, our public airwaves are filled with harsh judgments of others. Everyday ideas are put forward with such righteousness that there's absolutely no room for any other idea. Just take a look at what's going on in Wisconsin. I got a call the other day from a friend of mine, Sherry. Sherry lives in northern Wisconsin in a rural community, and for a living, she brings people together in community work on civic projects. She was distraught over how divided the communities have become since the new governor was elected. He came in and pushed through a law that rescinded the collective bargaining rights of teachers and of public employees. There was a huge backlash. They started a recall campaign, and 1 million voters signed the petition. And now they've got this recall election, and the whole state's just dividing down. There's no middle ground. You have to choose sides. The rhetoric is harsh, and the rhetoric's washing through every community, the little towns, every organization. She said you can't even go to a family reunion or have a family meal without somebody shouting at each other over the governor, of all things. So the whole state of civil discourse in Wisconsin is closing down at this time. Now, it's not just unique to Wisconsin. We've all experienced what it's like to be in a conversation where somebody has triggered us. And it's particularly true with politics. So just picture that moment when you have been triggered. This incredible rush of negative energy instantly fills your body. You feel this righteousness welling up in you and certainty. Certain that you're right, the other person is wrong. And all you can think of at that moment, all that fills your mind, is you're ready to pounce on the next thing they say and take them out. At that point, we've closed down any possibility of learning from each other. The good news is we don't have to stay closed down. I think that we have lots of other choices. And I think choices are a lot like doorways. And in our lives, there are many doorways. Within us, there's a door. You have to decide whether you're going to open that door or you're going to keep it closed. Between us, there are doors. And when someone knocks on your door and they want a relationship with you, they want to open up a relationship, they want to share an idea that may be strange to you, do you open up that door and engage them, or do you close the door, like you see here, and push them away? Similarly, when you knock on a door, you want to open up a relationship, or you want to share an idea that you have that you want to push forward, does somebody engage you, or do they push the door closed? Do they lock it? Do they even board it up? So I believe there are a lot better choices than closing doors on each other. That when we do open up, and that when we do open up doors to each other, that the whole world of possibilities opens up to us. And that's really been the story of my life. And I just want to share one story from that to illustrate that. When I was a boy growing up, I had a loving mom and dad, and I lived in Minnesota. And my relationship with my dad was particularly difficult. He was very dominant, very directive, and it felt like he told me 24 hours a day what to do, how to do it, when to do it. You get the feeling? And I felt very boxed in and constrained. Now, as a boy, I didn't know how to open up that relationship. All I could figure out how to do was to stay below the radar and not do anything that would trigger more scrutiny. So I lived this way for a long time. Even as I went off to college, many of you are in college now, my dad didn't come to campus with me, but I could still feel that pressure. When it came time to choose a major, I ended up choosing a major that he liked. He was in business, so I chose economics. And that continued. By the time I graduated, I had to decide what I was going to do. And I knew my dad really wanted me to go into business with him. But at that point, if I wanted to have a life, I felt like I had to make a break. So I loaded up my car, I said goodbye to my parents, and I moved 1,600 miles away across the country. That led to another decision. Was I going to stay stuck in a mostly closed down relationship, or was I going to do something to open it up? For me, moving away provided just the space I needed to open up into a different kind of relationship. So what I would do is I'd go back on breaks and I would visit my parents. And I tried to do one thing to change the relationship each time. I knew that my dad liked to do yard projects. He liked to work in the yard and do big things like make rock walls, elaborate landscaping. So what I would do is I would go out in the yard with my dad, and we'd often start in silence in the morning, and we were just working side by side. And I found that in the rhythm of work, I could sneak in one conversation about some important life issue each time. And so I did that, and I started having the kinds of conversations that we never had growing up. And over the years as I did this, I started getting to know my dad. And after a few years of this, I realized that our relationship had transformed quite profoundly, and I had this deep and affectionate relationship. So where I was once closed down in this relationship, very constrained, I now was very energized and excited by the relationship with my dad. So the choice to close down or open up, the choice is ours. It's a choice we have with our families. It's a choice we have in our workplaces. It's a choice we have in a community. In my work in communities, I got to know a woman named Francine who lives in Montana. Francine is Native American, and she grew up on the reservation. And she grew up with all the marginalization and the discrimination that Native Americans have felt for the last couple hundred years in this country. In fact, she knows a lot of the elders who, as kids, were taken away from their families, sent across country to boarding schools, denied their language, denied their culture, and taught to be white. It was a very painful experience that continues to ripple through tribes today. So in this community, the tribal community and the white community share a public school, but they have very different experiences. The tribal community, the kids, have a very high dropout rate, and you can imagine with a high dropout rate, it means a very low graduation rate. Education doesn't work very well for them. In the same community is a tribal college that has been pretty successful with kids, and they decided they wanted to do something about this high school situation. And so what they did is they got white community and the Native American community to start working together on the schools. And Francine joined this group. And as Francine and the group started working on it, they decided they were going to bring some initiatives around special programs for Native Americans to the high school. And as they did that, they had some resistance. In fact, here's what the school board chair, a white man, said when he got wind of this plan. He said, "I have 4 words for this plan. Over my dead body." So another door slamming in Francine's face, more pain heaped on a lifetime of pain. And most of us at that point would have quit. We would have just stopped engaging, blamed it on the schools. Francine and this community group stayed engaged. In fact, the group, because they built support, were able to help Francine transform her pain into positive action. And eventually what they did is a small subset of this community group and Francine started meeting with that school board chair. Over many months, they established trust and respect, and eventually he came to say, "I think I now understand the merits of this plan, and I can support it." So she had 1 vote. When it came time for the full board to vote, Francine was pretty nervous because her whole lifetime these doors had been shut, particularly by the white-dominated community. But with the board chair as her ally, it wasn't even close. It passed unanimously. So how do you go from over my dead body to having an advocate and an ally? To close down or to stay open? It's our choice. Francine chose to stay open, got the school board members to stay open, and because of that, Native American kids in this community have a much better chance. So we have a saying in my work: it only takes a small opening to create the space for profound transformation. So what I'd ask all of you is, what are the small openings that you need to create in your lives, in your families, in your workplaces, in your communities? What in your life is ready to open up? And are you ready and willing to take the first step? So as I close, I'm going to leave you with a poem. It's about possibilities, and it's by a man named Bill Holm. called advice. Someone dances inside us who knows only a few steps, the do your work in 4/4 time and the what do you expect waltz. He hasn't yet noticed the woman standing away from the lamp, the one with black eyes who knows the rumba in strange steps and jumpy rhythms from the mountains of Bulgaria. If they dance together, something unexpected will happen. If they don't, the next world will be a lot like this one. If they dance together, something unexpected will happen. If they don't, the next world will be a lot like this one. Stay open. Thank you.